guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad you stopped by today because today I finally have another painting time lapse for you. I know it's been quite a while. I haven't really had the time to do it, but recently I've been trying to make as much time to oil paint as possible because it is just something really relaxing for me. And this piece I started over a year ago and I finally got to finish it, and I wanted to show it to you guys. Now I do have to apologize because the first half of this is filmed in my living room because, like I said, I started this over a year ago, and back then I didn't have my filming lights, which help control the lighting, so I was relying on daylight for most of the beginning of this. But when I do get to the major details of the painting, we are in here, so you will get to see most of that under controlled circumstances. Anyways, let's get started. Okay guys, so I'm going to try something a little bit different with my time lapse. Normally, I end up just kind of talking about the piece or something that I just randomly want to talk about, but I figured I'd give myself a subject to focus on, and I figured since this painting was one of those paintings that I put off for so long, that talking about artist block would probably be a good subject matter for this video. So I think I'm going to start by going over the reasons I think that it took me over a year to get back to starting this painting. And honestly, it's kind of silly, but I think the main reason I put it off was I was getting really frustrated with trying to record my time lapses. Because again, I didn't have the proper setup. It was really hard to get the lighting to work correctly for me because again, it was natural lighting. And because of this, I had to pick specific times of day to be able to paint where the lighting actually worked for me, and I really couldn't have this work around my other things. This had to be the main thing, so as soon as the light worked, I had to start painting, and I really didn't like that. It was a little frustrating because I like oil painting to settle my mind and to just kind of calm down, and to have it like so demanding to work at one specific time to be able to do the time lapse was just kind of stressing me out. So I honestly believe that your surroundings are really important to keep your mood up and to encourage yourself to keep doing things. So say if my workspace was extremely messy, everything was just everywhere, it was hard to find things, that's going to be very frustrating, and it's going to make the process of making something just 10 times more difficult because you've got to hunt down your equipment and different things like that. And also, it's just not fun to be in a messy environment. Your mind just kind of gets distracted by everything. And if you like to have a clean environment, it's going to stress you out that it's not. Now granted, I do work a lot and it's sometimes very hard to clean my apartment. Sometimes I'm so busy that I just kind of have to let it go and just not vacuum, not do the dishes, and just kind of wait until almost nighttime to get it all done. So I completely understand if you can't work in a very tidy, clean environment because it takes time to keep something maintained like that, and sometimes it has to be put off to be able to get anything done. But if it gets to the point where it's causing you to not get stuff done, I'd highly recommend just setting everything aside and focusing on getting your environment where it makes you happy. And I've definitely noticed ever since I got my work lights that they do put me in a better mood. Everything is just a lot brighter, it feels cleaner because of it, it doesn't have this kind of red tint to my videos, and it just kind of brings my spirits up to be able to film with it. Which it's really strange, but light can actually really affect your mood as well. So I think more bluer lights can make you more active and in a better mood. And then if you're trying to settle down at night and trying to sleep, those lights are actually really bad for that. You actually want to have the more kind of red or orange tinted lights. Those help your brain realize that it's time to go to sleep. I just find that stuff kind of really interesting. Now what if you have a wonderful workspace that puts you in a very productive, happy mood, but you just can't get yourself to work on that one specific piece that you know you want to work on, but you just know that it's a pain, so you don't want to do it. And I think the main reason for this is you start putting off a specific piece because it starts to feel more like work than fun. Now granted, this is my job, but most people that get into art don't do it because of it being a job, a career, or things. You do it because your heart is in it. So it can definitely deter you from working on an art piece if it feels like it's demanded from you instead of you just want to do it because it's something that's inside of your brain and you want to get it out. And with this piece, I think the reason that it started feeling like work for me was because of all the scale detail. At first, I was really hesitant about it. I wanted to challenge myself with the scales and stuff, but they were a lot of work, and I felt like I had to put the detail into every individual scale to make it look right. And I think you'll notice that while you're watching the time-lapse, I repaint the scales so many times and they change drastically each time until I finally kind of loosen up and just enjoy making them. But I wanted to make it look as nice as possible, and I thought the best way to do that was to make the scales as perfect as possible. So I was taking a lot of time on each individual scale, no matter how small it was, and it was just making it mind-numbingly boring. And if you're bored with a piece, you're definitely not going to want to keep going at it. You're just going to want to start something else. So what I ended up doing when I started this back up was I loosened what I was doing. I was not trying to be so controlling, and I just kind of let everything be a little bit more organic, and I loosened up my paint strokes, and I just had more fun with it. And that definitely helped me continue working on the piece because things were just kind of happening quicker. They were more organic, they were more loose, they were more fun. At some points, I wasn't even really thinking about what I was doing, I was just doing it. And that's the part of painting that I really like, is just letting it happen and see what happens at the end. Granted, I do take time to learn techniques and try and figure out how the best way is to paint things, but at certain points you just need to kind of loosen up and just paint. And I kind of feel like this is probably the reason that I gave up doing the time-lapse for my fox painting, because I had so much of the same thing. It became boring. I didn't know how to paint the fur, so I was trying to do each individual hair, and it just wasn't working. So for that piece, I gave up on doing the time-lapse and just painted it, deleted all the footage, and just enjoyed myself. And I didn't want to delete the footage for this video. I wanted to continue it because I really liked the subject matter, and I knew I could do it. I just needed to figure out how to do it. Now, another thing that could cause artist block is just everything else that life throws at you. So it could be anything from health problems, money problems, anything that stresses you out kind of just clouds your thoughts and makes things just more difficult to enjoy. Now, because this was over a year ago, I honestly cannot think if I was going through anything like that, but I do know we have been going through money problems for quite a while, so things have been very stressful. I think right now it's starting to get a lot better, but past 3 years have been extremely tight for us. And honestly, money is a bad motivation for art. Obviously, everyone wants it, but when it comes to making art, if you're making something just to make money, you're going to make things that you don't want to make because you know they'll sell. And then if you're having trouble with things selling, you're going to go out of the box and make something that you don't want to make and might not even sell just for desperation for money, which ends up putting you in a bad mood. It wastes your time, and you could have been making something that would have been a lot more productive for you. People would have enjoyed it more, probably even bought it more, if you had just not tried to make something just for profit. So yeah, there are a lot of different reasons for you to lose motivation with making an art piece and other things like that, and the best way is to just kind of step back. Sometimes you need a break. Sometimes you need to stop touching a certain piece for over a year, like I did with this one, and try to come back to it. But the main thing is trying to come back to it. So what I ended up doing with this piece when I lost interest in working on it is I put it up, I put it completely out of mind, I hid it away in a closet. That way I didn't look at it every day thinking, oh, I need to start that, and make myself feel bad for not starting it. So I completely put it away. I made a mental note to go back and look at it every now and again, kind of like every few months, and just see if I wanted to work on it. And eventually I went back to it, I looked at it, and I was like, okay, I know what to do with it now, and I want to do it, and I started painting again. Now, one thing that I want to do is I want to point out some things about this painting that I'm extremely happy with and glad that I started back up with. And I know it's silly, but I'm extremely happy with how the bushes came out. Once I had the bushes done, I kind of compared them to the last painting that I did that had a bush in it, which was again my fox painting, and the difference is just kind of shocking for me because the one in that fox painting looks like a sea creature now. It just doesn't even look like a bush to me. And granted, I guess it can kind of still be a bush and it has its own little style, but I'm just really happy with how these came out versus those. So I ended up learning a better technique on making bushes and leaves and just that texture in general, and I'm just really happy with it. And I wouldn't have done that most likely if I hadn't started this painting back up. And same thing with the scales. I realized that I can make a scale texture without having to do individual scales. I could figure out how to make the illusion of multiple scales in that texture without doing one tiny scale at a time, which I think would drive anyone completely bonkers if they tried to do one scale at a time on some type of lizard or something. Okay guys, and that is the time lapse of me doing my Carno painting. Took over a year, but I'm so glad I went back to this painting and finished it. Now currently I am not selling any of my oil paintings. I am looking into how to do prints, and then once I figure that out, if I want to, I'll probably put some of my originals up in my Etsy shop, but for now it's just my art dolls and things like that. So thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!